What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Gramercy Theater, and we are here with Rory of Dayseeker. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And for those of you watching, we also have the entirety of the rest of the bill in this dressing room pretty much as well. You just can't see it.
Yeah, they're keeping quiet like good boys, so yeah.
There you go. There you go. And we just totally jinxed it now.
Yeah.
But first thing is always first. So your new record, Sleeptalk, absolutely awesome. It sounds great. You just want to talk about how like the making of this record was, the recording, mixing, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, we recorded a single for a song called Crooked Soul with our engineer Daniel Braunstein out in Los Angeles, and it was kind of just a trial run to see how it would go with him, and we really vibed with him, and we decided to commit to doing the whole album. And so I think we kind of had a vision going into it that we wanted to take a step back from like more of the metalcore, post-hardcore world, and he typically works in a pop actually, and he just had a lot of great ideas with like production. So I'm super happy with how it turned out. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there was kind of like a preconceived idea with how you wanted this record to sound. Where sometimes, you know, when you have like a preconceived idea, that could almost dictate you too much. But like, was there at all maybe like any improvising with the record at all?
Yeah, a lot of it actually. I mean, there were tracks on the album that would start off as like post-hardcore songs, and then we would kind of keep trying to rework them because they just didn't sound quite right, and then we would realize that once we stripped them back and made them more ambient, that they actually kind of translated a lot better. So I didn't feel like we were very limited necessarily, because we were kind of down to try anything. We would have a lot of things that we would fight for that we thought was the right idea, and I feel like he was similar, where he would have ideas that maybe we weren't a big fan of, but it was a nice kind of give and take between the two of us. But he killed it. I mean, I know the album wouldn't have come out as cool if we didn't do it with him, so I'm very thankful.
I'm definitely asking this way far in advance, and I'm sure it's not across any of the band members' mind, but, you know, working, you know, changing up your style a little bit, working with new people, do you think that this broadened more horizons to experiment with your sound even further in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think just like the older we've gotten, we've kind of stepped away from heavier music a little bit, and so it feels like when we put out Crooked Soul, it was kind of strategic because it's still very riffy, but it doesn't have as much screaming, and so we planned it because we were like, then when we put out like a pop rock track, nobody's gonna really flip their lid, because that was kind of a softer transition right off the bat anyway. So, but yeah, I think you know, with like future records, we can kind of let loose and maybe get a little bit weirder with it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, being a vocalist, do you sometimes need to hear music to come up with lyrics, or is there ever a story or a concept in mind that maybe can help determine the outcome of the music?
I get ideas, definitely, but I need the music to write anything to it, because sometimes I feel like the music can kind of be a guiding force as to like, that has a really creepy overtone to it, I should try and match that lyrically, or that sounds really melancholy or really emotional, I should try and kind of, again, match to it. So no, I'll have ideas, but I don't actually write any like lyrics or melodies until I have like some type of instrumental to work with.
Do you tend to like to leave your lyrics open to interpretation, or do you like to maybe get a listener to sort of see things from your point of view?
I think it's cool either way. It's interesting sometimes that I'll write something and I think it's pretty obvious what it's about, and then somebody will tell me what they think it's about, and it's like completely not in the same field at all. But I think that's kind of the beauty of music, though, is like a person's interpretation. But I'm like very transparent, and I'll explain whatever any song is, at least in the way I wanted it to come across. But it is cool that anybody can hear a piece of music and kind of make their own story out of it if they want to.
Yeah. When it comes to songwriting, do you need to put yourself in like a certain element or a certain mood or mode in order to get into songwriting mode, or does inspiration kind of happen like out of nowhere sometimes?
It's kind of both. I do find that like, yeah, you kind of have to wrap yourself up in it sometimes, or I feel like it comes off a little insincere if you're not really committed to what you're writing about. But there are times where like something will happen and I'll get bummed about it, and I'll kind of feel like this, like I need to write about it, because it, for me, like writing is like kind of cathartic. Like it really helps me feel better about things if I'm bummed out about something.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always said like you kind of like use, I guess for lack of better terms, like you kind of use paint as a paintbrush.
Sort of, yeah, because it feels it just feels good if you're not doing so well about something to translate it into something. You know, if you work on it for a few hours and you create a cool song, and then if if you anticipate that somebody might hear it and then find comfort in it, it feels like what you're dealing with feels less senseless. Like there's like a point to you getting hurt or being bummed out about something. So I'm not it just depends on the situation. Yeah.
When you perform it live, does it feel like you're in that situation again, or is it
Not at all. That's the funny thing is I feel like I don't know why, I just think I look pretty like emotional or sad when I sing, but most of the time live I'm just thinking about like stay in time, stay in key, like don't mess anything up. Like I'm so much more, I think, in my head about just making sure that it sounds good as opposed to thinking about
how it makes you feel?
Yeah, I'm sure that's like a bummer maybe to hear for somebody. And it's
At least
weird
you're
because
honest about it.
yeah, I mean, but there are some nights though, like where we played one about not on this tour, but for years we played one about my mom and her drug addiction. There was like a few times on the last tour actually where I'd really start thinking about it when we were playing it, and I would start getting kind of like choked up about it a little bit. But that's I don't know, yeah, because I think you're just so concerned that you want to make sure that you're doing a good job and the audience is enjoying it. You don't want to stray too much from, like, I think it's great to think about what you're performing while you're performing, but I think a lot of performers are just like, I don't want to sound tone deaf or be out of time or off key. So yeah.
Well, I think it doesn't matter what the song is about or how much it means to you. If you're not executing it well, it's not gonna.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now you kind of led me into my next question, because when you are performing, is it a completely different energy that you're executing live versus like in a vocal booth or in a studio?
Yeah, absolutely. It's because I mean, in a recording setting, everything is very it's just very relaxed. You can like take your time and keep doing takes over and over. The weirder part is getting used to having to like perform these songs like consistently from like the very start to the end of the song. Because sometimes I'll like write something and I'm stoked on it, and then we go to start rehearsing it, and I'm like, that is really hard to like sing all the way through like without any breaks. As opposed to in a studio, you can just sing like 10 or 15 seconds and then like stop and then just kind of keep recording as you go. But it's definitely a different environment, and you also kind of have to like kind of feed off the crowd and kind of gauge your crowd to see if they're super into it or if you have to kind of like win them over a little bit,
Yeah, there you go. The final question I wanted to ask you is always the hardest one. How do you know when a song is done?
When you don't hate it. I don't know, because there's songs on our new album that I love now, but there's songs like we play one live called Drunk, or there's a song called Already Numb on our album, and when they were in like their post-hardcore metal versions, I like despised them. Like I put off writing vocals for them for a really long time, and then when we stripped them back and made them more rock songs, it kind of like sparked. I guess that's a good way to look at it. When I'm like excited to write over a song, then I feel like at least instrumentally it's like it's good to go. But if I'm listening to it and I'm like, I hate this, and I haven't even started writing vocals for it, that's probably a good indicator that like we really need to change some stuff about it. But yeah, I mean, but I'm super happy with how everything turned out though.
There you go. Mm-hmm. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know you have to go on stage in like 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
But is there just anything else you would like to promote for Dayseeker in terms of tours?
No, we're out with Wage War right now. Still got a couple weeks left, and we have our album is available worldwide. Sleeptalk, yeah. So you can listen to that anywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rory.
Dude, thanks.
Everybody, we are here with Rory of Dayseeker. Be sure to pick up Sleeptalk out on Spine Farm if you haven't already. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.